It's time to talk about the NFL, where Matt Miller released his first mock for the 2023 draft. He has Alabama defensive end Will Anderson Jr. going first overall to the Jets. Anderson led the nation in sacks and tackles for a loss last season. Ohio State's C.J. Stroud is the first quarterback off the board at fifth overall to the Falcons. Stroud posted a total QBR just under 92 last season, best in the FBS. And Alabama QB Bryce Young is the seventh pick to the Panthers. He threw 47 touchdown passes in his first year starting for the Tide, en route to winning the Heisman Trophy. Overall, Matt has the first 7 picks being from either Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State. He also has 5 quarterbacks going in the top 10. There have never been 5 QBs selected in the top 10 in the common draft era. And here he is now, our draft expert, Matt Miller. You can check out his latest mock draft on ESPN.com exclusively for ESPN Plus subscribers. I always have trouble logging in. Matt, let's start with the quarterbacks. Why is C.J. Stroud the first quarterback off the board and not Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young?
Yeah, I think it honestly comes down to size. We're talking about C.J. Stroud, who's 6'3", 215 pounds, versus Bryce Young, who's listed at 6 foot, 194 pounds. Did you guys see him at the Heisman ceremony? He does not look 6 foot and 194 pounds. So I think we might see what those real numbers are very soon. And that could hurt Bryce Young. I mean, he's a point guard in position. He's a natural distributor of the ball. He's got great field vision. But C.J. Stroud, that size, the arm strength, what we saw in the Rose Bowl, guys. Remember that Rose Bowl game? Almost 600 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. Utah couldn't stop him, even though everyone knew where they were going with the ball. So I think C.J. Stroud at least enters the year with the most momentum and with the best overall traits in what looks like you said, a really loaded quarterback class with 5 going in the top 10. We saw 5 in the top 15 2 years ago, so there's certainly some precedent here for that to happen.
I'm also 6'3", 215 pounds, but it looks a little better on Mr. Stroud, I have to admit. You have 5 QBs, as you mentioned, off the board in the top 10, including Miami quarterback Tyler Van Dyke, going 10th overall to Max Kellerman's Giants. Which QB other than Stroud and Young do you see having the greatest upside going into this college football season?
And I'll tell you, NFL scouts are already in love with Kentucky's Will Levis. And I've spent the summer breaking down every throw he's made so far in his career. And you can definitely see why. The arm strength is there. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. They asked him to throw the ball down the field a ton last year as well. And in the SEC, he's had to go against Georgia. He's had to go against some of the best defenses in the nation. He's battle tested. The key for me, cutting down on some of those interceptions. He had 13 last year while not taking away that gunslinger mentality of his that we all love so much. So I think if you're looking for a wild card outside of Alabama, Ohio State, some of the big schools, certainly Levis at Kentucky is a player who could shoot up boards as we get into the season.
We always talk about quarterbacks when we talk about the draft. However, many experts have said that Bama's Will Anderson would have been the top pick in this year's draft were he eligible to declare. What would the Jets be getting if they were number 1 and they got Anderson number 1? And what will whoever gets Anderson number 1 get in 2023?
I think you're getting another version of Von Miller. This is Von Miller 2.0. I'm old enough to have evaluated Von at Texas A&M now. 6'3", 6'4", around 245 pounds with an explosive first step. He had 34.5 tackles for a loss last year, which was more than the top 3 pass rushers drafted this year combined. So he's productive, he's athletic, he checks every box for you. He's been durable at Alabama. And he could sit down right now and probably still be the first pick in the 2023 draft, but he's not wired like that, which is the other part of his game that you absolutely love is he's a nonstop motor guy, he's a team leader, and scouts are already pretty excited about him.
One more question for you, Mr. Miller. You have the Bears getting help for Justin Fields at the 2nd spot, taking Ohio State receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. The 2022 receiver talent was off the charts, so how does Jackson compare to those guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's up there, definitely is. You know, last year, top receivers, guys like Jamison Williams, Drake London got hurt, so that bumped their stock down a little bit. But I think we can even compare him to the guys that were just at Ohio State, who were first-round picks. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. I think he might actually be a better prospect than both of those players who were great in their own right because he's a little more advanced as a route runner. He has a little better size to speed ratio, even though he's not the biggest guy. And I'll again throw it back to that Utah Rose Bowl game. Everyone in the stadium and watching on TV knew where the ball was going. No one could stop Jackson Smith-Njigba. We'll see if anybody in the Big Ten can this year, but it doesn't look good for Big Ten defenses.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.